Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Otto. And we have a special guest again.
Yeah, go ahead. Introduce
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
We are once again joined by special guest John Tiegen. Tig, how's it going?
Oh, going good. How you doing, Max?
Tiegen.
I'm used to it.
Oh, it's Tiegen? I thought it was Oh, sorry. That's
like
why I wanted you to do it, Joe.
It's like a tie and a gun.
Tie and a gun.
Gotcha.
Both.
It's like Joe when he says that the immigrants need to assimilate.
What?
I had one of those moments, I guess.
Did I really?
Yeah, you always say that. You always add a U to assimilate. But it's okay. We love you anyway.
But it's the ambulance deal, too. Ambulance. I always have trouble with that one.
It's ambulance. Ambulance.
All right.
Well, that's just crazy. So on Friday, we talked about the Ghislaine Maxwell documents, Jeffrey Epstein documents, all of the bombshells about that. No surprise, mainstream media didn't cover the fact that Bill Clinton is now being named as a co-conspirator by a victim. Noticeably missing from CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS. Amazing stuff. But before and today, we were supposed to have a bunch of documents to go through. That was our plan today, because a second trove of documents was supposed to be released. But those documents have now been held back. 2 judges intervened to block the documents from being released to the public. And let's go ahead and throw their images up. Let's go to image number 2. These are Jose Cabranes and Rosemary Pooler. They are 2 federal judges in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals.
Appointed by?
Yeah, Joe, who do you think they were appointed by?
They were appointed by Bill Clinton.
Yes.
The one that is actually
Bill Clinton.
How convenient.
So convenient.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had judges on the bench who would be able to block documents from being released that would protect me. I mean, this is crazy. It reeks of corruption. It reeks of backroom deals. These people should have had to recuse themselves, but they have apparently no problem in doing this. But yeah, no, we're supposed to have more documents today that would have probably implicated Clinton even more. But 2 of the judges that he appointed to the bench blocked it. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think this is crazy. You know, this pedophilia thing that has been happening with the Democrat Party that is deeply rooted in their leadership, deeply rooted in their fundraising, like the people that the people in positions of power and authority that are actually funding these races. It knows no end. I mean, there's just. And the shame of it is that the news media is staying away from it. So if you're not a pedophile rapist or closet racist, like a large majority or a large percentage of, or inside of the Democrat Party, then you're complicit in the behavior, and that's what we're seeing now. But let's stop for a second, Max, and we want to basically tell people that, look, this is an important message to share. I mean, if we're talking about kids and women that are literally being trafficked all over the United States. It's at last guess, and this is obviously a guess, estimates were $150 billion business a year just in the United States. I mean, that's a huge number.
Well, it is. It's huge. So it's every 16 seconds a kid is being trafficked in America. Every 16 seconds.
With an average age of like 12 years old.
Yeah, and if Instagram and Facebook would work as fast as they do put down conservative views, they could put down the pedophilia on Facebook and Instagram just like that.
Yeah.
But like I get sent to me. I'll say one from Uncle Sam's Misguided Children. He found a Facebook page. I hate to put it out there, but I think everybody needs to go on it and get it taken down. It's called Cute and Lovely Boys.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of underage kids. I mean, some would look like they're under age of 10 and very like indecent, pretty much pictures. There's no nudity, but you can see just the way they're laying out. I mean, it's disgusting. But again, it's stuff like that they allow. But if we post something about COVID-19 that doesn't go against their rules and regulations of the WHO, then we get shut down.
Yeah. So
yeah.
everyone needs
Uncle
to share
Sam's
this. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sam.
everyone needs to share the video. Make sure you hit the share button, leave a comment, hit the like button. Uncle Sam's Misguided Children, they were one of the original groups on Facebook that got targeted and shut down.
Oh, he is constantly.
It's just, yeah, he's constant. I remember that they just took them off the air, and it literally it's just what? It's just the acronym for the U.S. Marine Corps. But they made them out to be these radicals. It was incredible that a page, pretty much all Marine kind of content, that they just made it out to be radicals. And yeah, no one stood up for them. And now we're in this position now where you're right. We were talking on Friday about how crazy it is that those doctors got deplatformed for giving their press conference in front of the Supreme Court. They got deplatformed. Their website was taken down. They were fired from their jobs, all in like a 48-hour period. And yet here we have people being credibly accused of sexual assault, rape, child trafficking, right? Going all the way up to the highest levels of office, the former president of the United States. And it's incredible that the media, the tech companies, everything, they don't want to give them the same treatment, right? that woman doctor, Stella Emanuel, her life has been turned upside down. And they're in the same breath defending Clinton. It's just incredible.
It's not incredible. It's evil. So you need to hit the share button. If everyone shares, we get out to another 40, 50, 60,000 people. I'd like to see it. I mean, we need to start talking about this. I mean, look, Tig is getting people sending him stuff. I had that sent to me on Saturday, and I went, "You've got to be kidding me!" Yeah. And then Facebook actually came back and said, "Hey, it doesn't go against our guidelines."
Yeah.
How can that go against your guidelines when you have?
So they deleted a picture that I put of a guy, because I was out in Texas doing a shooting competition. It was hot, so there's a guy sitting on a block of ice. He's got a shirt on, but he's got he's wearing no pants. All you can see is just his cheeks. He can't see anything else. And they deleted it, said it went against her. It was like considered sexual or something like that, or nudity. And I'm just like going, but then you go and you see this page I talked about on Facebook with the kids. Go look at that. And I'm like, so they're just, they target me. I mean, they don't like me at all, but it's just stuff like that.
Facebook targets truth, right? So anything you talk the truth, or if you serve your country or you do some pretty incredible things, you're out. Please, there's the door. But let these guys actually molest children and women and create a trafficking ring across the United States that benefits them. Oh no, that stuff's got to stay out.
Well, they're trying to make it so that it's not a. They want to make it more acceptable. That's what they're trying to do. That's their push. They've been trying to. I forgot what they're trying to call themselves besides pedophiles now. It's something else. But anyways, they're just trying to normalize it, so it's not evil no more.
You can't make.
What was the old organization? NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association.
Yeah, something like
that. Yeah, it's gross stuff. And to see what these judges have done, let's go ahead and throw up the order. Image number 1. So this came down on Friday from Jose Cabranes and Rosemary Pooler, and this is a years old case, right? This was a civil case years ago, and people have been fighting for 3 years. Miami Herald has been really leading the charge to try and get these documents released because the public has the right to see what Maxwell and Epstein were up to. It's been going 3 years. We finally got our first set of documents on Friday. And as we mentioned on Friday's podcast, they redacted a lot of it, but they did it incorrectly. So you could copy and paste the text into a Word document and see everything that was underneath the redactions. And as we mentioned on Friday, really weird stuff that they were trying to keep hidden, like Jeffrey Epstein liked his nipples twisted, liked his feet rubbed, getting his quote-unquote massages. Really, really weird stuff. Fast forward a couple hours, as the media is talking about, these two judges, Cabranes and Pooler, both appointed by Bill Clinton, put a stop to the document release, saying that 3 years apparently isn't long enough to wait for these documents. We're going to have to wait until, I believe it's September 22nd for the next hearing. So they're just trying to hide this from the people.
Shouldn't they recuse themselves of the case? Isn't that a conflict of interest, like what they do with Trump and all of his appointees?
You'd think so. I mean, that's what the liberals claim that Trump's Supreme Court appointee should have done when his tax case came up to the bench.
So,
but noticeably missing is any complaints about this.
Well, and it's even worse than that. You heard about the judge that was appointed to the Maxwell case. Her son was murdered, her husband was shot, and then the guy suicided himself.
Pretty much suicide himself.
Yeah, and notice how that's just disappeared.
How
in the headlines.
But it should be a big deal. We should be talking about it. Look, when you have a $150 billion industry, shouldn't you actually talk about it? Shouldn't you have a conversation about the fact that kids are being raped and abused and that they're being trafficked all over the country? Shouldn't that be a problem? Shouldn't that be a problem?
It's a huge problem.
But it's silent. It is silent in the media. Silent. Why?
Yeah,
I want to know why.
I mean, imagine if you had the same outrage that we saw after what happened in Minneapolis, which was horrible, right? When, the fact that George Floyd had an officer kneel on his neck and kill him was horrible. And you saw the protests that followed nationwide, some of them peaceful, a lot of them not, but outrage, cross-country outrage for months. Here we have court documents putting the former president of the United States on Orgy Island, saying that he was there with 2 young girls, and nothing at all.
Well, also going back to Floyd thing, according to the autopsy, that's not what killed him. It was all the drugs he had in him that killed him.
Yeah, but they don't want to talk about that. That's not convenient. That's not convenient. Yeah. You can't say that. You can't say. Quit talking about the truth again, man. You just always talk about truth.
It's all about happy.
It's crazy, man. I can't handle the truth. Please don't do the truth.
Well, it's incredible because where are the street protests?
Right.
Where are the people outraged that kids are being trafficked? And yeah, sure, a lot of this happens to be across the border, but a lot of it is also within our country. Kids abducted, stolen away from their families, and forced into the sex trades.
Well, it might be across the border, but it's American elite politicians that are doing it.
100%.
Yeah. I want to put up the images from Friday's documents that we got to see. Not the part about the nipple twisting, because that honestly kind of skeeves me out a bit. But I want to focus on the Bill Clinton part, because we have pages and pages of documents putting Bill Clinton on this pedophile island. And I understand why the media is not covering it, right? I understand that they're complicit in it. They want to protect the Clintons. I get that. But I'm surprised that this isn't a bigger story. I really am shocked. So let's put up image number 3. This is one that we actually didn't put up on Friday.
On Friday,
This was part of the Virginia Jeffrey deposition that they're trying to get released. And she's asked, do you have any recollection of Jeffrey Epstein's specifically telling you that Bill Clinton owes me favors? And Virginia says, yes, I do. It was a laugh, though. He would laugh it off. You know, I remember asking Jeffrey, what's Bill Clinton doing here, kind of thing. And he laughed it off and said, well, he owes me a favor. He never told me what the favors were. I never knew. I didn't know if he was serious. It was just a joke. Then let's put up image number 4. It continues. He told me a long time ago that everyone owes him favors. They're all in each other's pockets. She's asked, when you say you asked him, why is Bill Clinton here? Where was here? And she says, on the island. When you were present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island, who else was there? And she responds, Ghislaine, Emmy, and there were 2 young girls that I could identify. Never really knew them anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York. She's then asked, and were all of you staying at Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island, including Bill Clinton? And she says, that's correct. We had about 4 or 5 different villas on his island, separate from the main house, and we all stayed in the villas. And then she's asked, were there sexual orgies on a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey Epstein's house? And she responds, yes. If that was Trump in that 2 pages.
100%. It'd be the people they'd lose their mind.
Yeah.
They'd lose their mind. Why is it that we're even having to have a conversation about this? Why is it that Facebook is blocking us? Why is it that the news isn't talking about it? Why is the judge in a Maxwell case having her family destroyed because she's on the case? How is this not a bigger deal? How? Josh, I just sent you a picture. I want you to put this picture up if you can. This is happening all over the country, but this specifically showed up on Yeah, I just put it on Slack to you. Max, there's people putting up posters all over Denver, all over, I think, every city.
Yep.
It's up there now. You see it?
Yeah.
So, because love is love, pedophiles are people too. This is
No,
literally showing up. What's that?
No,
No, they're not. Absolutely not. And they don't. Look, and you can say whatever you want, Joe. You got to be tolerant. I don't have to be tolerant. I don't have to be tolerant. I don't have to be tolerant of that at all. How can anybody be tolerant of people that want to harm a child? And by the way, they're starting this in third, second, first grade, right? You're talking about first grade, or second grade, third grade. Hey, wait, you're not a boy. You can't. No, you decide later whether or not you're a boy. Yeah. You might be a unicorn. You need to make sure you wait until we know that you're a unicorn.
I think I'm still a unicorn.
You're still a unicorn?
I think so.
All right. Is it a pink unicorn? Or
Well,
I'm still waiting for
it's called grooming. That's what
Yeah.
it's called. It's called
Yeah.
grooming. When
Yeah.
you groom a child at a young enough age to be okay with this kind of stuff, you are grooming them so that in the future, if you wanted to do something to that child, you aren't getting the negative reaction that you otherwise would from the kid.
Right.
They're grooming them. And that's what Maxwell is accused of doing, grooming children. I want to put up another image. This was from the documents. We didn't talk about this on Friday. Let's put up image number 5. This is a part where Virginia Jeffrey talks about how she was introduced to Mr. Epstein. And she was introduced by Maxwell when she was working at Donald Trump's spa in Mar-a-Lago. And she was prompted by Ghislaine to come to Jeffrey's mansion in Palm Beach that afternoon after work to make some extra money. So what we talked about a little bit on Friday was that Donald Trump actually kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Epstein was a member. Trump said, no, disgusting, you're out. I want nothing to do with you. Kicked him out. This looks like it could have been part of the reason that he kicked him out, because Epstein and Maxwell were literally poaching young girls from Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort to come back to Jeffrey Epstein's house and give him one of those quote-unquote massage. You go to the bottom of that image and they're talking about sex toys, pornographic literature. It's gross. It's absolutely disgusting. And the fact that we're seeing this, I mean, I think part of the reason that there's such this big push from big tech and from the media and from these courts and everything to make this go away is because all of this has been happening for decades behind the scenes. We were never supposed to know about this. Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton were supposed to be able to go to their island and no one was supposed to know. And if you talked about it, you were a kooky conspiracy theorist and everyone laughed at you.
It was. That's
Now
the way
that
it was
we
like.
have-
I mean,
yeah.
they actually said that this isn't true, right? It's, again, just like Weinstein, 30 years Epstein did this. 30 years.
Yep. Well, I mean, look. I mean, Clinton. He didn't allow Secret Service to join him. He's flying overseas without Secret Service. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's why isn't Secret Service on the flight logs? That's the big question. And Clinton came out with a statement over the weekend. He didn't come out with a statement. His spokesperson did, saying that the allegations that he was on the island having sex with children are false. He denies them.
Well, didn't he die?
Whatever happened.
He denied
Go
about
ahead.
Monica Lewinsky at first too, didn't he?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Producer, let's put up the same lies meme that I sent over to you. This is the same lie, just with a different victim. 1998, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. 2020, I did not have sexual relations with those children. It is the same lie. He's just playing Mad Libs with who the victim is, and we're just supposed to believe him. That is insane to me.
Well, what is depends on what is means.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Depends on what children is, I guess. It really is. It really is gross because you have him on the island being pegged on the island by a victim, a woman who is suing Maxwell for being victimized, for being groomed, for being trafficked overseas into another country, trafficked for the purposes of childhood sexual exploitation, right? Nasty, nasty stuff. And he's named, she points the finger at him, and the media just says, oh, well, Clinton denies it. Clinton denies it. That's what passes for fact-checking today.
Yeah.
Mr. Clinton, you've been alleged to have been on Pedophile Island having orgies with young girls. Is it true? Nope, I wasn't doing it. Okay, well, that fact check, we've fact checked that claim as false. He was not on the island because he told us he wasn't. It's crazy.
But he's not on the island, but he's on the manifest for the plane, right? For the jet going to Epstein's island.
26 occasions
Yeah.
or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. What is that, 26, 28? Can we fact check that
he
as
was
well?
dozens. I think it was 26 or 28. Some of them seem to be no big deal, like when he's going to charity events. But you can never know when you're dealing with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. When you're on his private plane flying overseas, it's just really hard to assume that that there's no funny business going on. I mean, I want nothing more than for this to be a lie. I said this on Friday. I would want nothing more than the whole conspiracy theory of Jeffrey Epstein on the island.
Yeah.
I would want nothing more than for that to be false, because that would mean that children were not exploited.
And check this out.
That would be a victory.
Do you have the video from? Hey, Tig, have you seen this video? Put the video up in 2009 of the attorney when asked a question about Trump, right? President Trump.
Yeah, and we just had a caller call in asking to talk about, claiming that both sides are involved. That
Well, let's talk to him.
Trump is
I'll
also
talk to him.
involved.
I'll bite.
But no, we went over this on Friday. But let's play the video again, just to put this to bed, because every time we talk about this, there's people, the trolls, coming in saying, "Oh, well, Trump was sleeping with children too," and it's just not true. So let's play
the video,
that,
and then we'll take the caller.
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, "Let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know," and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
And that was in 2009?
That was in 2009.
Wait,
So
now let's talk to the caller.
pretty definitive.
Hopefully the caller's watching the show while they're actually trying to justify. All right, so the little operative on the call, put the caller on. What's his name? Her name? We don't know. No name. All right. Hello, Mr. or Mrs. No Name. You are now on with us.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
No, when I say both sides are involved, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about Dershowitz, the Dershowitz clique.
Yeah.
He got Epstein off in a sweetheart deal. You look at him; he was arguing to lower the age of consent. He's been all over defending Trump and on Fox News and this and that, and so that's what I'm talking about with both sides. No, I don't think Trump was in on it. I don't think Trump was in on it. I think it was Bill Clinton. He was there. I think he was the one that got blackmailed. And
I agree with you.
Prince Andrew, I think Prince Andrew got blackmailed, but that seems to be the focus. It's Democrats and it's Bill Clinton, it's Prince Andrew, but we got to talk about Les Wexner. We got to talk about the mega group, the people financing this blackmail operation. Everyone wants to talk about Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, but they don't want to talk about Les Wexner, Alan Dershowitz, the mega group, all these different characters funding the blackmail operation. I wonder why that is. I could guess for a couple of reasons, but basically that's my point. No, I don't think Trump was in on it. I think there's evidence that he banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago or something once he tried to hit him.
Yeah, he did.
So I don't think that's the case. And there was actually evidence where Epstein was like, they had beef. Like he was like, I think he bragged about Trump like, well, good luck. Like when Trump was having those financial problems, he was bashing Trump about it, and Trump came back and got the final laugh. So I don't think that's the case. My case is the neocons. The neocons on the right, the Mitt Romneys, the John McCain types, they are just as guilty, just as in on this. I think Mitch McConnell, his type of career politician, they're just as guilty. They're totally in that Epstein.
Let me ask you a question.
That's my point.
What do you think? What do you think when I say that there's a deep state?
The deep state is the chosen people of God.
What do you mean the chosen people of God?
That's the deep.
Say that again.
AIPAC, that's the deep state. The people who are controlled by AIPAC, the people who are funding and controlling these politicians. You look at someone like Rand Paul. He tried to speak out against the Federal Reserve, and he was blackballed. He made it look like a kook. The only politician on the left who tried to speak out against AIPAC, it was that Somalian politician from Minnesota. You see both sides came raining down on her, accusing her of anti-Semitism, and, she's speaking about tropes because of AIPAC, the control that AIPAC has. This is undeniable facts, the amount of power and control AIPAC has in different interest groups like that.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your call.
Thanks for calling.
I agree. I agree with him when he's saying that there are other people involved. I don't think anyone really thinks that this just goes to Bill Clinton. I mean, the meme that Epstein didn't kill himself, that whole meme suggests that there are very powerful people who wanted him dead because he would have implicated them. So I have no doubt that there are billionaires out there, that there are political class. I don't know if I agree with the caller. The claim he's making of AIPAC, which anyone who doesn't know what AIPAC is, it's the American Israeli Political Action Conference. I don't know if I would go there, but the whole point is that we know that there are other people involved, and when you start talking about the other people, people who are listening to you, their eyes glaze over, right? Because as he's listing names, even I'm typing them in, like, oh, who's this guy? You can't get anywhere by forcing the issue on people that no one's ever heard of, right? The reason that we are focusing so heavily on Bill Clinton is because he was president of the United States. Everyone knows his face. Everyone knows his name. Right. So when a victim of child sex trafficking testifies under oath during a deposition that Bill Clinton was on the island, right? He is too famous. He is too well recognizable for her to mistake him with anyone else, right?
Right.
We focus on that because, you get him, you can get more. So we're not trying to say that Bill Clinton's the only person involved, but the reason that we're focusing so heavily on people like Bill Clinton is because you got to start, you got to get this out there to as many people as possible, right? If you start leading with names that the majority of people don't know, you're going to get branded as a conspiracy theorist, which it could be true, could be not true, but we have documents from court depositions pegging Bill Clinton and saying that he's on the island. So that's why we're focusing so heavily on this.
So this is go ahead.
No. Have you guys seen the when the news stuff, or pretty much from both sides a little bit about Trump saying, "I wish Maxwell well"? They're saying, well, that's code that's code that he's going to pardon her. That's code that he's. No, it ain't. That's a code that, hey, I hope you don't die so you can get to testify.
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's what I took
That's
from
exactly
it.
what I interpreted it. Yeah. I mean,
but there's so many people out there like, oh, he's going to pardon. He's going to get her off. No, he ain't.
No.
He's the only president that actually has now a sex trafficking section in the White House.
Yeah.
It's right there.
So we have a caller that just called in. And we're going to put her on here in a second, but she was actually a victim of sex trafficking, and this is a hard call to have, guys. So I want everybody to pay attention. Come on, caller, you're on with us.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
What's your name?
Yeah,
what's your name?
This is Madison Marquette, and I'm a survivor of human trafficking and was trafficked through the adult film industry, and a lot of celebrities, government officials, when I say celebrities, high-profile celebrities like Tom Hanks, Jeremy Piven, these people were trafficking me through the adult film industry, and it's not just Clinton and everybody else that we're saying, there's so much more involved here. Government officials, I mean, they have tried to silence me for so long, even here in Colorado, to the point where I was pulled over, beat up by an officer. And don't get me wrong, I support our police 110%. Not all of them are like this, but there's so much more here, and they will cover this up as much as they can. It's not just... Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have the thing on.
Yeah, try to mute that.
That's fine.
So we're not
mute the computer so we're not hearing the echo.
Here, let me do that.
Otherwise, we're hearing you twice.
There we go.
So
there we go. Yep, I muted it. Yeah, I mean, I'm enraged that they didn't release the documents, but it doesn't surprise me that they haven't released these documents. It's no surprise that Tom Hanks moved to, I believe it was Greece, where pedophilia is legal. So, again, there's so much more here people don't even realize. And, you know, trafficking is such a real thing, and it's so much connected to the adult film industry, mainstream Hollywood, and these government officials. It's all connected, and I know for a fact I'm not a conspiracy theorist because I was bought and sold by these people.
So I'm sorry you went through that, but let me ask you a question. I need to ask you this question, and I'm only asking this question. I'm trying to be as sensitive about this as possible. But when you were in Hollywood, when you were in that area, were these Democrats? And I'm trying to prove a point right now. But are we talking about a Democrat-controlled environment? And the reason why I'm saying it because of behavior that one group would be completely complicit in, right, or participating in, or were these, you know, kind of a mixed bag of politicos?
So looking back on the government officials and looking back to who bought me back then, I had no idea what a Democrat and a Republican was. I know the difference, obviously, now many years out of it. But it was mainly Democrats that support the Democrats, that support the Clintons. Looking back on even the celebrities that bought and sold me, they were not Republicans at all.
Yeah.
So
because conservatives have values, I think, or libertarians. We could say anything. Yeah. So
I would say most humans have values.
Most humans do. Yeah.
Most do, but these are not your typical humans. And
I don't consider them humans.
No. And things that they've done to me, I mean, Tom Hanks, the first time he bought me, punched me in the face. That was my first interaction with this man. So, you know, they aren't human beings. They have no moral compass or moral code, you know, and people can call me whatever they want, but I lived it. And every time I say the truth comes out, my trafficker who trafficked me was indicted. You know, he was the low-hanging fruit, though, I believe, just to say, oh, okay, look, we're getting these people. But these celebrities and politicians, you know, they need to be arrested. They need to go sit in jail. And
what was the name of the guy who was indicted, who was involved in the trafficking?
So
don't be afraid to call him out.
His name's Derek Hayes, and his porn name was Benjamin, or I can't remember what it was. But his name is Derek Hayes, and if you look at the Rolling Stone, if you just do Derek Hayes, LA Direct Models indicted, he was also sued by multiple Jane Does, which I won't release their names, but and won because he trafficked them through this adult film industry.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Wow.
So you went. Did you respond originally to like one of those ads looking for people who were interested in modeling that you always hear about? Was that how you got involved with this guy, Derek Hay?
No, and when you guys talk about being groomed, there are people out there. So I was in a really desperate spot, I mean, again, this was years ago, and ran into a girl who took me partying in Los Angeles. All the nightclubs had bundles of $100 bills. I asked her what she did for a living. She said porn. I didn't know what that was. I grew up in a fairly conservative household, so I didn't know what that was. She said, go talk to Vivid Entertainment. Went to Vivid Entertainment because I was desperate. And then I called, they gave me Derek's number, and crazy part is I actually tried to get out of the industry, went to a mega church in California, and again, I believe in God. I don't think everyone is like this, but went to a mega church in California to ask for help. That mega church actually sold me to Derek and said she's trying to get out, and they trafficked me through that church for almost a decade.
I can't even. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I'm sorry you went through. I mean, what? I mean, it's. I mean, what do you say? What do we say? I mean, what do we say? I mean, anyone that's listening.
This is what you say. You say that we stand up and we become a voice for the voiceless, and we fight for not only our country, but for these women and men, well, women and little boys and little girls that are being trafficked and don't have a voice, and that these sick, I don't know what I can say on here, these sick bastards, whatever they're doing, we stop them. And if you can say that again?
You can call them bastards. That's safe.
Yeah, I mean, let's be a voice for the voiceless. I mean, that's the thing. It's, I've had so many people even now call me out and say, that didn't happen, whatever. Guess what? If my trafficker is being indicted and I'm telling my story, guess what? There's truth to it. So let's all stand up. If someone tells you this is happening, believe them. Help them. I mean, stand up for them. Help them. Whatever you can do, help them.
Let me ask you, because you've named a couple of big names. Yeah. What is it? Talk about what it feels like to accuse someone with power and to be ignored by the media, because that's what we're seeing right now with these Maxwell documents, where you had Virginia Jeffrey pinpointing out that Bill Clinton was on the island with little girls, young girls, and she's being completely ignored. You've named some big names. Talk about what it feels like as a victim to have your claims just be ignored. Because the fact that I didn't know about your story already, and we've done tons of research for this, makes me assume that you're being ignored when you're talking to people. What does it feel like to be ignored by the political class that says believe all women, but then ignores your story?
Well, I can tell you, it's enraging. It's funny, when Trump got elected, I wasn't on his train. And the more that I have seen what has gone on and done my own research, I feel like he's fighting for the voiceless. And I have spoken out. I've had my posts be deleted off of Facebook, off of Twitter, stop calling these people out. I've had my Twitter deactivated more times than I can imagine at this point for speaking out. It's enraging, but it just validates everything that I'm saying, because you don't try to silence the people that are lying. You try to silence the people that are telling the truth. And that's what's going on right now on everything that's happening. So I also know, though, that what's done in darkness comes to light, and the truth will come out. Just like, I actually wrote a book about my time being trafficked. I was called a liar. This isn't true, all this stuff. Here we are, 2020. My trafficker got indicted. All of this other stuff is coming to light. It can only be called a conspiracy theory for so long. Eventually, it's going to be proven. You can't hide it.
What's the name of your book?
It's called My Father's Daughter, a memoir of a porn star.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a couple trolls now on there. Madison, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate the courage that you have in giving people a voice that don't have a voice. And we're going to continue to fight. If the one thing that came out of this, pandemic, depends on which side of the L you're on, is that we've had a much larger conversation about this trafficking issue. So, again, I want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, she mentions the fact that it's only a matter of time before all these allegations get believed. I mean, she's dropping big names like Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that lightly, because if you don't have the evidence to back it up, or if you're not believable, you'll get sued into oblivion, right?
Yeah.
That's how these people operate. And she mentions that as the bigger people get named, the pushback increases. There's a saying that the flak is thickest when you're right above the target. When you're in the bomber right above the target, that's when the flak is the thickest.
Wasn't Tom Hanks on the,
Go ahead.
Wasn't Tom Hanks on the manifest also, or no?
I don't know. I know that some people have said that he was.
Yeah, I've heard that he was, but I can't say for sure. But what we just heard was from someone that said that. I mean, she unapologetically just called him out.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about big names here, guys. I mean, big names. I mean, imagine we're actually having a conversation about a big name star punching someone that's being trafficked in the face. That's what she said. Her words, not mine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the fact checkers have determined that Tom Hanks was not on the flights.
Okay.
So the fact checkers take that as you will. There's the same people that say 2 + 2 = 3. But the fact checkers that Facebook believes have said that Tom Hanks is not on the Epstein flight logs.
So then he was on the flight
believe
logs.
that.
So then he was.
Yeah, I mean, they can say whatever they want, right? So these are the same people that, by the way, write hit pieces and call up media outlets and have them write hit pieces about people. That's what they do, right? I want to say this, Max, is that there's a thing happening now. And Tig, you know about this because they came out and called you a white supremacist, right?
Yep.
And a racist.
Yep.
Right? And now there's a thing out right now where there's a group of attorneys, and those attorneys now are standing up to sue on behalf of libertarian conservatives, people that are constitutionally centered, about what the media is doing. So when they write these articles and say these things, these attorneys are saying, "Look, let's go." They're actually advertising for cases so they can go after people that defame other people. I think it's brilliant.
I'll get hold of them.
All right, well, I'll put you in touch with them because I had that conversation this morning. So I think that we've got to start standing up to these people, and they've been doing it with impunity because lawyers are like, what do you do? Now there's so many cases of the media being weaponized against us as citizens, people that care about America, that it's finally coming out.
I think is what turned the tide was the kid that just got $250 million from CNN.
Right, and Washington Post. Yep. And they violated.
We don't know how much he got, but he got a lot.
Yeah, but he still won.
He violated and they violated the gag order, right? The confidentiality agreement. So now he gets to go back and get his hand out again.
More.
So let's do this again, shall we?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
good on him.
This is what strikes me, and Tig, maybe you can talk a little bit about this. If these fact checkers on Facebook were around back in 2012. Right. And you came out and made the claims that you made where you were given a stand-down order in Benghazi, right? The fact checkers would say, no, that is false because the Obama administration says that a stand-down order was never given.
Yep.
Like, if these fact checkers were around back then, you would have been deplatformed, and we never would have heard your story. The movie never would have gotten made, right? That's what they're trying. They realized that they messed up back then, that they didn't control the narrative enough on social media. Now they're trying to play catch up, and talk about that because you got heavy flack.
We did
from the media, from the left.
Well, the biggest thing obviously it was the stand down order. We lied. We didn't lie about anything whatsoever, but the stand down order because we wanted to sell the book. If people actually did their research and looked into it, we don't make anything off the book because it's just it is what it is, but. Adam Shifty Schiff came out, and him and Smith, both California Democrats, or Smith was Washington, but anyways, on the East Coast or West Coast.
Yeah.
They came out and said that on national TV, so we came back out and we called them out. The only one who had any cojones was Smith. And Schiff, he just stayed hidden in his little freaking pedophile closet, and that's where he stayed. He never. We can try to confront him several times. Why don't you come out and let's debate this? Let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about what happened, what we said behind closed doors, and what the leadership of the CIA said versus what we said. Again, we have nothing to gain from lying about the stand order. Nothing. The only thing did, not the only thing, but what that stand order did. It killed 2 Americans. That was the cause and death pretty much of Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith because we would have saved their lives. And how I know it for a fact because they both died of smoke inhalation, and we wanted to leave within the first 15 minutes. It took us a total of an hour to get there from the initial assault because when we left about a half hour after it started, and by the time we had already left, they had actually started the buildings on fire. If we were able to leave when we wanted to leave, we'd have been engaging them. They would not be able to put the buildings on fire. Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith would be alive today. Tell me, why would we sit there and wait 30 minutes if we were not told to stand down? Why would we sit there and wait to get in contact with 17 Feb for 30 minutes when they have zero contact with them? Again, why would we? But then why would we stand around and lie about it? The book's going to sell itself. Having a stand down in there or not, it's not going to sell a book. It's not going to sell anything.
Yeah.
But it's just
they were arguing that you guys. They were arguing that you guys were like racing to get kitted up, right, already, and then you just chose to stand there for 30 minutes on your own accord. That's actually what they were telling you.
Yep. Exactly.
It's incredible. I mean, that is defamatory in itself. right?
Yeah. So the thing is, since a politician, if he goes out, he can. They need to get rid of this. The same thing, the liability of politicians. If you're going to go up there and you're going to try to slander and defame somebody, but they can do it as long as they're speaking on record. They can say whatever they want about you, and you cannot, as a civilian, cannot go after them. Or as a constituent, I want to say civilian. That needs to change. I guarantee these politicians will shut their damn mouths if we're allowed to go after them legally for stuff like that.
Yeah, anything that gets said on the floor of the House or Senate, they cannot be held legally accountable. They can also go up there and read classified information. So it is a double-edged sword in that way, but you're right, yeah.
And they have read classified information on the floor. They have done that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What amazes me is that we're becoming smarter at what is and is not true. Yet we still have people that are out there, and I want to go right back to sex trafficking. Just imagine what we're dealing with today on sex trafficking. The fact that nobody even talked about it. Like, I didn't know it was that big a deal. I didn't know it was that big of a thing. I didn't know. I started having conversations with people, and they said, "Hey, did you know it's a $150 billion industry?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know." I mean, did you know it was a $150 billion industry?
I figured it was a multi-billion, not that much though. But again, I never would have thought that it was every 16 seconds a kid is trafficked either.
Yeah, and the average age is 12 years old. 12 years old.
So that's in the United States, or is that worldwide?
So I did some tours and stuff with sex trafficking women, and I can't really say where the locations were, but we showed up to one, and a guy just came in. One of the rescuers just came in. And he just left a scene where they rescued a 4-year-old child from his dad, and the FBI got flagged on it because he put a post out there, and so many people were reacting to this post that flagged the FBI, and they were able to go in and rescue that kid because of that. I mean, that's how twisted people are in this country.
But it took that long, right? I mean,
it was fast. I mean, they said it was like within 24 hours because that's how many people were going after, were wanting this kid for trafficking. It's insane the sickness that's in this.
And you
country.
have kids. You have 2 kids.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
People would disappear with pigs. I got 2 8-year-olds.
Yeah. And then imagine, I mean, you have twins, a boy and a girl.
Yep.
And I mean, tell me what would happen if someone tried to harm one of your kids?
They would no longer exist.
Yeah.
They'd be a pig dump.
Guys, I don't know. I don't know of anyone that I know that would let the legal system take their chances with the legal system.
No,
I don't. I mean,
you can't fix pedophilia. You can't.
No,
the only thing that can is a rope, 99 cents, or a pig.
Yeah. What do you mean by pig? I think pigs eat anything, is what you're saying.
They eat everything. They eat bones. I think they even eat the skull.
Yeah. I think so. Just so you're curious, that just means that they never really, literally never existed.
I'm pretty sure I'll get fact checked by Instagram, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably will.
Instagram. No, I mean, it's how could you possibly trust the justice system when you see what's going on with judges saying, no, we're not going to let you know what Epstein was doing. Oh, but he's dead. He committed crimes. People deserve to know. Nope, we're not going to let you know because it could taint the jury for his co-conspirators. That's the argument that was made in court on Friday, that if we know the extent of what Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were doing, that it would be impossible for her to get a fair and unbiased jury.
Right.
That tells you how damaging the documents that were yet to come out were.
But then why did they hold back on them? And that's we need to come full circle back to this. Why did 2 judges appointed by Clinton come out and say, hey, we're going to block this new information from being released? I actually think that it would have created a waterfall. We'd be having a different conversation.
I think the Attorney General needs to step in and say, no, you need to recuse yourself because of who appointed you and who was actually part of the case.
Yeah. Hey, so all the people listening, I want to say this really quick. You need to share, right? This is a story. This is a podcast you need to share. I mean, you share every podcast we have, but share this podcast. I mean, we got 1,000 people just on Facebook. I want to see us share this information with other people and then go back and listen to the rest of it. I mean, this is pretty damaging stuff. We're talking about, we had somebody on here that literally was trafficked. She was actually trafficked. She called out people that in Hollywood.
Tom Hanks.
I say it again. Tom
Hanks.
We didn't say it. She said it, right? and talked about Derek Hayes. I actually was fact checking her while I'm actually, going through the podcast, and he did get indicted. Yeah.
So what does Private Ryan really mean then?
Or was it maybe Saving Ryan's Privates?
That's what I'm just saying.
I mean,
yes, I just went there.
So guys, I mean, we're not laughing at the content. I want to be really careful here because there are people listening.
We laugh because of how uncomfortable this is. I mean, it's an innate human reaction to be confronted with something that horrible.
Well, for how much Hollywood,
I'm not laughing at her.
Well, not laughing at her. For how much Hollywood keeps getting called out for pedophilia.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just
raping. I
mean, look at Weinstein, and it's just disgusting how deep and embedded and protected and elevated Hollywood people are. I mean, they're put up so freaking high that it's like they can't fail, and they should be the hardest ones to fall. I mean, they're entertainers, people. That's all they do. They just entertain you on TV. They have no talent but that.
Yeah, and this is what gets me. Malia Obama interned with Harvey Weinstein's company. So the left knew everything that Weinstein was doing. And the Obamas still sent their daughter to go and intern with his company.
How sick
knowing
is that?
full well the
How
rumor.
sick is that?
That's how disgusting this is.
Well, Obama's husband's probably agreed with it.
I mean. Oh, I got to give you a fist bump on that one.
I've seen the pictures.
If you don't understand it, I can't help you if you don't understand what was just said.
Are you talking about Big Mike Obama?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, man. The videos are there. There's pictures there. I mean, it's there's some weird stuff going on down there. That's all I got to say.
So Lisa said my pigs would refuse those disgusting people use the rope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could disagree with you. We talk about this, but if you actually go online right now, which is really interesting, and you put in every 16 seconds a child is trafficked, it comes back up and talks about kids being trafficked globally, but not just for sex, but for slavery and for even organ harvesting. Just imagine this. Sure. There is a problem we haven't even talked about right now of kids that are literally being harvested for wealthy people. Their organs are being harvested, and they're being killed to give organs to others.
Well, Hollywood made a movie about it.
Right. And Hollywood's made movies about other true things, about the corruption that happens in government, right?
Exactly.
Happens all the time. This is constantly happening. And we're always surprised when it comes out that we have these government employees or leaders that act this way. But it happens all the time. I mean, look at how many, I just Googled before how many Hollywood movies about government corruption. There's 113 movies that I had to go through. 113 movies. I mean, it's happening all the time. Oh, yeah. And Hollywood, this is not a new occurrence in Hollywood. We're talking about Hollywood for the last 3 decades. Oprah hangs out with Weinstein. I mean, they were buddies. Now you have Ellen that comes out, and they find out that she was a disgusting person that treated people terribly, and everybody's surprised, and they're like, yeah, it's been happening for years. But you said nothing because you didn't have cover, because you're surrounded by people that take advantage of people and that abuse children. That's what they do. They abuse women and children.
Yep.
Yeah. It's and this is what gets me. I agree, Joe. For the longest time, you hear about stuff and you never think it's as widespread as it could be. This stuff's been going on pretty much in plain sight.
Right.
You're talking about the most powerful people in the country, the most powerful people in Hollywood, the most wealthy businessmen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
New York icons. They're all involved in this, and it's been happening in plain sight. And they've been counting on the fact that their media friends aren't going to tell on them. They've been counting on the fact that the judges are going to let them off the hook. They've been counting on the fact that the FBI won't prosecute them, stuff we've all seen. The only thing they weren't counting on was with the advent of the internet and social media, everyone has their own voice. And if you want to spend all day trying to figure out if you can find a picture of Michelle Obama pregnant, which I've done, I still haven't found one. I'm not saying that she wasn't pregnant, but it's one of those things like people say, have you ever seen a picture of her pregnant?
He'd be rich.
You have the power. Yeah, you have the power to amplify your voice. And people who cared about this issue, they've been dragged through the mud as conspiracy theorists, whatever. They've cared about this issue, and they pushed and pushed and pushed it. And yeah, a couple years ago, these people were branded as crazy conspiracy theorists. If you had someone get on camera and say that there's an island somewhere where all of the wealthy people, all of the Hollywood stars, all the politicians go to have sex with little children, you'd say, well, that's crazy. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Right.
Who was that one lady who called Michelle Obama transgender, and then like a week later she was dead? That famous. She was on TV a lot. Joanne Rivers or something.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. She said it. She said it, and like a week later she was dead.
Oh.
Well, didn't she die in like a freak, like a plastic surgery accident?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
remember how she died.
But
now we're getting into the.
But what is scary is, I mean, when this all started, when we started doing the stuff we're doing in Colorado, and by the way, for just to kind of plug this, Tig is going to be doing a podcast every day. Right? I know he's going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to put him in a podcast every single day. He's going to be talking. We haven't figured out what hour it's going to be, in between some of the shooting he's doing and some of the work that he's doing to, defend the communities around the country. So, but he is going to be having his own podcast as well. So stay tuned for that. But we carry guns everywhere we go. I mean, I have to be. I'm armed. You're armed, right?
I got a missile too.
You got a missile, yeah. And by the way, Tig has a dog that literally will bite your face off, but is like the nicest dog in the world. And I always seem to be the one to corrupt your puppy, but yeah, I get him in trouble all the time. But we have to stay armed now because of all the craziness. We don't know where things are going to come from. I mean, I have a state of alarm system. People say, "Oh, you're paranoid." I'm not paranoid. I'm prepared. And you almost have to be, because the left, there's no limits to these people.
No, there's not.
They killed a child and wounded a judge's husband, right? Coincidentally. And they're like, oh, it's just a coincidence. How many coincidences can you have? I mean, I know the world has been built, right? The world's here, and you could say, okay, either believe in God or it's a coincidence, but many coincidences.
Well, they let a child burn to death in a building because they wouldn't let the first responders reach. They shot a kid in a car because they were trying to turn around and just opened fire. 8-year-old kid. So again, I mean, they're just blindly shooting and killing people, and of course they want to blame the guns. It ain't the gun's fault.
Yeah.
The tool didn't do anything. It's the individual holding it that did it.
But I mean, and you talk about what's happening in Chicago. You know, what's 18 people, 25 people shot, 18 people killed. I'm probably off a little bit on that. But I saw it this morning. I mean, over the weekend.
Yeah, and they want to defund the police.
They want to defund the police
because what is it? It'll eventually, if you defund the police, crime will stop.
Well, if you defund the police, then they can't actually track child predators, right? Nope. They can't track pedophiles. I mean, they already having problems with massive amounts of crime in places like Minneapolis. Minneapolis used to be a great place. Now you go to Minneapolis now, they're actually telling people just travel with no money, give them your wallet, give them your phone, be prepared to do that, right? They tell them to be a good
It's like
witness.
Traveling abroad.
Yeah. Yeah.
When all of a sudden the State Department recommendations are appearing up for American cities, this has gone too far.
Well,
right?
and so you guys are aware, there's a fact tech that comes out from the government, right? And other governments have these fact techs as well. It's just information. It's basically warnings, right? The warning today in nearly 100 nations across the world is a travel advisory not to go to the United States. Now, obviously, we have COVID, but they literally say that there is a warning that there is a possibility that you will be killed or severely hurt if you travel to the United States.
Some of that's propaganda. Like the Chinese government says, don't go to the United States because you'll be in a mass shooting, which statistically you will not be involved in a mass shooting.
Yeah.
So some of it is propaganda. But yeah, no, it's to the point where the warnings we used to get for traveling to Africa or Asia or Central America, those countries are now giving their people the same warnings if they want to travel here.
Yeah, and it used to be that we gave the warnings, right? But now the warnings are coming from everywhere.
Yep.
And again, it's because we've abandoned our values. We've let these people creep into what we do. These are foreign interests. I mean, I truly believe that what happened overseas, what happened in the Middle East, what happened in parts of Africa, that stuff is coming here. I mean, this lawlessness is coming here. And it's not a mistake that people have just forgotten history. They literally, less than one generation here, this Omar and who's the other one? Talib. Yeah, Talib.
Rashid
Tlaib. I mean, these people are disgusting human beings that talked about dismantling what we are as a country.
Yep.
And they have no history here. Like that, none. But they came here as a plant in our society, as a plant in our environment, to destroy and erode everything we stand for as a country. And I think that if we start to wake up, if everyone starts to wake up and see, hey, listen, this pedophilia, it's a big problem. Like Democrats, I say it all the time. Democrats, rapists, racists, and pedophiles. They have a major problem. It is concentrated in Democrat-controlled areas. It's just what Madison said. Yeah, they were definitely Democrats. Right? And she says, I didn't even pay attention to it. But now that I look back, yeah, they're all Democrats. How about that? How about that?
Well, right? look at Epstein's manifesto, his flight log. Sorry, look at his flight log.
Democrats.
Look who's on there.
Democrats, and these are people with billions of dollars. They're funding candidates. You think they're funding candidates that have values? Well, how do you fund candidates that have values if you're running a pedophilia ring?
Yep.
And we haven't even talked about Michael Pincus. Nobody even knows who this guy is, right? Michael Pincus was a major contributor to Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016. Just arrested one of the largest pedophilia rings in the entire Central Europe and Asia. Largest, right?
It's just
coincidence.
Guy's
worth a couple $1 billion.
Just
coincidence. Just coincidence. He's a Democrat.
Purely coincidental.
Well, it's just coincidence that they're friends with two of the biggest pedophile rings in the world.
Yeah,
coincidence.
Just coincidence.
Convenient.
It's not happening.
No,
right. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Josh has got me the information on Chicago. 34 people shot this weekend. 9 people killed in Chicago so far.
Oh, then we got Wiener too.
Yeah, Wiener. Yeah.
So
he has a really good name though, Wiener.
He does.
Yeah, Mr.
But
Wiener.
again,
he was born for it.
Again, it's just all coincidence.
All coincidence. Well, Joe, any final words? Take any last words as we wrap this up?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff again that's out in plain sight. Just like those one girls that escaped the house. Where they broke in the door. I mean, they got the one family that had their 12 kids locked up. I think from 27 all the way down to like 12 years old, literally chained. I mean, there's signs. Just look for it, like weird spots for padlocks, especially when you service guys that are going to do and servicing homes. Look for those strange padlocks on doors and those barred lower windows and just stuff like that. Just look for that. Again, it's one of those see something, say something. Right. It may not be nothing, but again, you may be saving someone's life.
And have courage, right? I mean, the big thing is just have courage. Have courage. The fight of our life is happening right now, and I pray to God that November 3rd comes around and we're not having a conversation about basement Biden, right? I hope that,
Yeah. I hope so. So I don't want. This was a pretty serious episode. I want to end it on a slightly lighter note. Yesterday we had the Crew Dragon capsule land in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh yeah, you got to put that up.
Came back from space. And if you're watching the stream, you would have thought that NASA or SpaceX would have gotten to this capsule carrying astronauts first, but they were not the first ones to get there. Mr. Producer, let's put up the boat video real quick. We're Trump supporters, so this was kind of a serious, at times dark episode. I want to end with this. We're playing a video of the Trump flag being flown at the capsule before NASA or SpaceX arrived.
Awesome.
So just to end on a lighter note, I thought that was awesome that there was an impromptu Trump rally as the capsule's floating there, waiting for NASA and SpaceX to show up. So just wanted to make sure people could see that and maybe end this on a little bit of a lighter note. So that's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. If you want to download the podcast, subscribe to the audio forum. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store. We're on Spotify. We're on TuneIn. We're all over the place. So make sure you check us out there. We also go live on Facebook and YouTube every day, 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you watch us there so you can see the video if you're just listening to the audio. We're also on Parler. Follow us at Conservative Daily, and we'll be happy to follow you back. To make sure you check out all of the links in our description. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, all different ways you can join the community and get notified when big things are happening in DC, because we send out our action alerts pretty regularly. So yes, make sure you go down in the description of the videos and check out all of those links. So again, my name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Otto, and we have...
And thank you for Tig for sitting in.
Yeah, I was going to have... He's got to get used to this, Max. He's got a podcast got to do every day. Snap, snap.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Tig, for sitting in. And everyone remember that the fight to take back our country is not over, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.